Hey guys, my name is Shrish. So first of all, I apologize for the title. I've probably titled the video as something like "How to shoot cinematic videos on a phone," but the reason being, that's what people search for. Would you really search for how to shoot videos on a phone? Uh, if you do, let me know in the comments below. But anyways, this video is just going to be about some of the stuff that I've learned over the span of 3 years. I'm not a cinematographer or a filmmaker, or I'm not even remotely as good as those people who are into professional films and all. I'm just a video creator. I've learned a lot of stuff during these 3 years of making content on this channel. So yeah, in this video I'm just going to share some of the stuff that I have learned, and obviously a lot of these lessons come from my mistakes that I have committed in the past. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get into this. So first and foremost thing in smartphone videography, or to shoot videos on a smartphone, is the video resolution. Now, I know a lot of people like to shoot slow-mo videos, and slow-mo videos are generally 1080p, but they are actually shot at a very low bit rate, which results in pixelated footage or soft footage, to be honest. So to avoid that, I would recommend you shoot at 4K. Now I know 4K doesn't shoot slow motion, and 4K in some phones actually doesn't really support 60 FPS as well. But honestly speaking, slow motion isn't really cinematic. Yeah, it looks good and it is used in movies sometimes, but it's not everything. It's not really everything. So you can actually, in my opinion, avoid slow motion shots and still make a good looking video, or a video that looks very close to an actual film, or a cinema. That's one thing. Shoot at 4K. That's my recommendation. Apart from that, if we talk about the frame rate, now frame rate is a little bit debatable. Movies are shot in 24 fps, but most people these days feel that 24 fps is a little bit choppy. In my opinion, it's just up to you. If you feel 24 fps is choppy, go for 30 fps. In case you want to shoot in 24 frames per second and your camera doesn't allow you to shoot in 24 frames per second, I will recommend you Filmic Pro. Filmic Pro is a camera application, a third-party camera application, which has a lot of actual features that you can use to your advantage. But the app itself, it's pretty expensive, which is why I don't really recommend Filmic Pro to every single guy. Okay, if you have a lot of money to shell out on Filmic Pro, then go ahead, buy the Filmic Pro. It's worth it in my opinion. But if you don't worry, shoot in 30 fps. That's just about it. Yes, these third-party applications have got tons of advantages, but it's not the end of the world if you cannot really buy one right now. So yeah, get started with the stock camera application. It is also pretty good in my opinion. So once you get the resolution and frame rate sorted out, the next thing is enabling grid lines. Now grid lines essentially help you frame your shots better. They're basically these lines, or a grid appears onto your smartphone display while shooting videos. Now this grid will help you position your subject better. It will help you position the different elements and objects in your video better. Of course, think of it as a scale or a ruler, and you can get precise shots. For example, if there is a wall, generally without grid lines, a wall may appear a little bit slanted or tilted. So in order to fix that, you can use grid lines. Grid lines have these lines which you can use to your advantage in order to frame your shot better. Like for example, you can get some sort of symmetry out of the shot. Now to enable grid lines, you just have to search through your settings. It's basically the show grid lines option, and I know it is very easily accessible because a lot of people use grid lines. So just enable grid lines, and that will actually make a lot of difference when it comes to composition. Speaking about composition, now composition is a very vast topic that I can certainly not cover in this video. In fact, I feel I'm not really qualified to talk much about composition because I'm still learning composition myself. Now, because yeah, it is a huge topic in my opinion. But I'll drop some of the videos which can help you get into composition and advanced composition and all that kind of stuff. But in a run and gun situation, there are certain things that you can take care of before actually shooting the video. For example, using rule of thirds. Now rule of thirds is essentially placing the subject or placing the object or the highlight or the portion where you want the viewer's attention in one of the four intersecting points on the grid. For example, it may be here, 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 or here. I hope I edit, or I hope I add a grid line in the edit. Yeah, anyway, so yeah. And if you are wondering as to why can't you place your subject at the center, well, you can, but there may be some situations where you want a more descriptive shot where you also want a background to be highlighted. In that case, I would recommend you using rule of thirds. Speaking about centered shots, or shots where you want your subject to be in center, in those cases, I feel there are a couple of things you need to take care of. First one is that your subject should be exactly in the center of your frame, not a little bit right, not a little bit to the left. It should be exact center. And apart from that, you need to take care that there is some space above the head of the subject, because when the subject occupies the entire frame, it just looks weird. I mean, there are certain shots, or there are certain use case scenarios for the subject occupying the entire frame, but in most cases do leave a little bit space up here. It just looks better. Anyway, so moving ahead, one mistake that a lot of people, including me, make is not locking the exposure. Now, if you don't lock the exposure, your shots are going to turn fluctuating. For example, this shot where I had not really locked the exposure, as a result, there is a lot of exposure fluctuation happening. Now, it is easy to avoid. You just have to tap and hold onto your smartphone screen or your camera application until you see this lock icon. And once you see the lock icon, that's just about that. Your exposure has been locked. Whenever you go out to shoot videos, lock the exposure. It is so much crucial in smartphones. Now, with this out of the way, you can get started with shooting the video itself. But I know a couple of things you might also be curious about. First one is camera movements. How should your camera movements and everything be? Now, I think camera movements are quite a lot subjective. There are certain videos where you can just place your camera onto a tripod and not move at all, or there can't be any movement at all in the shot, and it can still turn out quite a lot epic. While there may be some shots which are extremely shaky, but they look pretty much very good. They look actually cinematic and epic. My recommendation would be experiment with the camera movement. But of course, one thing, don't go with that cliche, this movement. Just don't do that. Apart from that, if we talk about the camera angles is again one of the most complex things that you will get better exponentially. What I like to do is shoot the exact same shot from multiple angles. For example, I will shoot the same shot from a low angle. I'll shoot the same shot from a very top angle or inclined angle. I will shoot the same shot from eye level angle, if that makes any sense. But yeah, you get the point. Also, one thing I've started doing is I shoot the exact same shot twice, but at different lengths. For example, first shot will be a wide shot, which actually describes the overall environment, where the subject is and everything, the situation and everything. And a second shot would be a close-up shot or a descriptive shot, which actually gives you an idea about what the subject is doing or what the subject wants to say. This, in my opinion, gives a much better flow and direction to your videos. Just try it out. If you like it, which I'm sure you guys will, then start implementing that in your videos. It instantly makes everything much better. And now, talking about video stabilization, do you need a gimbal? Well, honestly, if you have a gimbal, then it's well and good. You are going to get some great movements, and the process of stabilizing the video in the post will be reduced. But even if you don't have a gimbal, I don't really think that's a deal breaker. You don't desperately need a gimbal, in my opinion. You can still get great footage without any stabilization, even without EIS on your smartphone. You just need to lock your hands while shooting. I mean, lock your hands like this. Hold your camera like this. I mean, just a minute. So yeah. Hold your camera like this, make sure your hands are connected, or make sure your hands are actually, stick your hands to your chest, somewhat like this, and just, if you want to make some movement, move your entire body, don't just move your hands, because if you move your hands, then individually it results in a lot of shakes. But even after that, if you have some sort of shake in your video, then you can actually fix it in post by using Warp Stabilizer in Premiere Pro. In DaVinci Resolve, there is the inbuilt stabilization option on the inspector. I don't know about Final Cut Pro. If you know, let me know in the comment section below what exact effect that is. That's one thing to do. If you don't really have a computer, you can still stabilize it. Just go into your Google Photos applications, edit it, and you see the stabilization icon. Just tap on it and it will automatically stabilize your video. This again is really helpful in my opinion. And with resolution, frame rate, camera movement, composition, grid lines, I think that's just about that for the shooting process. If I talk about the editing, I won't be able to show you how I edit my videos, because that would make this video a whole lot lengthier and boring. There are certain things that you need to keep in mind before you edit. First one is, think about how you want your video to be. There needs to be a certain direction or a certain flow to your video. Your video needs to share a story without even a proper narration, because that, in my opinion, is really crucial. If it's not really that, then your video is just a montage. It's not really a film or anything, in my opinion. So yeah, I have made a lot of montages in the past, or montage videos in the past. So I have committed the same mistake where basically my videos had no direction or no proper flow. They had no proper story. I used to just randomly play shots at random intervals and at random points, and that honestly didn't make a sense. For example, just to elaborate, if I want to make a video on me going to the beach and then shooting everything, my first shot would in most cases be the shot where I leave my house, where I actually get on my bike and stuff like that. The middle part or the middle sequence of that particular video would be me actually going to that place, and the third one is when I actually reach that place. This, in my opinion, directs the video in a certain direction. So once you have a rough idea about how your video is going to be, the next thing is letterboxing your video, or changing the aspect ratio of your video. Now, movies are shot in 21:9 aspect ratio. So in order to do that, just go into your project settings and change the aspect ratio from 16:9 to 21:9. If you are editing the video in 4K, your resolution would be 3840 into 1644 if I'm not wrong. And if it's 1080, then your settings would be 1920 into 866. So this will instantly give you those black bars. Of course, it will firstly give you a vertical black bars on right and left side. You can easily fix them. Just scale your video until it fits and until the black bars completely disappear. Now when you go on to export the video, your video eventually will have black bars on 16:9 displays. And now when it comes to color grading, I feel all of your shots should have some sort of uniformity. They should look somewhat similar when it comes to colors. Apart from that, don't overdo color grading on smartphone footage. The problem is that smartphone footage, as I said, it's not really recorded in any very high bitrate. So at times, if you overdo color grading, it will actually pixelate the video and it won't really look that much good. You can use LUTs if you want, but make sure you are not really overdoing it. What I like to do is I just desaturate the colors a little bit, because smartphones generally capture punchier colors. So I like to desaturate the footage and then add a little bit of fade. That's just it. I don't really do a lot. Of course, my color grading can be better. I am learning color grading, but again, I know one thing for sure. Rather than overdoing or rather than messing it up entirely until I learn the process of color grading, it is actually better that I stick with a very subtle approach. Another thing that you need to keep in mind while color grading is that your colors should actually match the vibe of your video. For example, if you are talking or if you want to share a very sentimental story through your videos, so in that case you can go for a moody look. If in case you intend to share positive vibes through your videos, don't really go for a moody tone or a moody vibe in your videos. That would not really match. And one last thing, do not use whoosh transitions or that zoom in transitions. I mean, yes, they look good, they are great for travel videos, but if you really want to make that cinematic video, then I feel you should avoid these transitions. They kinda, in my opinion, are a little bit distracting, and I haven't really seen a lot of movies with these crazy transitions. So you can use them, but I know there will come a time when you will outgrow these transitions. But yeah, for now, if you just take my word for it, do not use them. But yeah, that's just about it. This was just a brief video on how you can make your videos better and cinematic. Again, this is sarcasm. I'm not really a cinematographer. But yeah, for this video, this is it. I hope this video helped you in some way or the other. If it did, be sure to leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.